Hey, Bear here from Ludus RAG. I'm going to do a quick video on how we use the Chirp app to program our Baofeng radios. So right here I have the UV5R, probably your most common Baofeng. A lot of you might have a UV5RA, UV5R Plus. You can tell what you have right down here on the plate. There's a UV5R. This is a very common radio. Most everyone has one on milsims, and I have several, but I also have a few other I'm going to show you. This is a less commonly used Baofeng. It's the UV82. What's great about this is it has a dual transmit option. So you can use channel A and channel B without having to change on the radio back and forth, and you can transmit and receive on the radio. The reason why I don't use this one a whole lot though is it's difficult to find a headset that works with the dual transmit. You can still use a single transmit and it'll program to one of the channels, but it kind of takes away the dual transmit feature. So it's good though, but I don't really use it when I'm like doing command stuff at an LSIM. Now, finally, I'm going to show off my most recent Baofeng. It's the BF F8HP. It's very similar to the 5R, but it's newer, updated, has a higher wattage output, and all around has just a better firmware. So I'm just going to do a quick video on how to program these through Chirp, and you're going to need a program cable, the Chirp app downloaded on your computer. It works on Mac or PC, but I have found that the app does cooperate more on PC. So here we go. Alright, so this is your program cable. On one end it's a USB, and on the other end it plugs into your radio. And it's going to plug into your radio just like you do a headset. Alright, and you always want the larger piece on the bottom, and the cord will run up. You don't want to put it in like this. You want to put it in like this. Alright. There you go. And then however your computer is set up, and you're going to plug in the USB here. I always get it backwards. Alright, pretty straightforward, and it's already recognized it, like my Harry Potter background. Alright, so here is the Chirp app. I already have my UV5R plugged into the program cable, and it has been wiped to factory settings. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure that the radio is plugged in first, which it is, and then turn it on. And you'll probably hear, oh, you won't hear it because it's plugged into the computer. All right, so now that it's turned on, we're going to go to radio. And radio, we're going to click download from radio. All right, now the port, it should automatically detect which USB port you're plugged into, but what's important here is that you have to choose your vendor, which is the brand of radio, and there's lots to choose from. We're doing Baofeng. If you have a B-Tech radio, which is a lot of very common replacement for Baofeng, you're going to make sure to choose B-Tech. Now this video is going to be specifically about the Baofeng radios, but the concept will work for any type of radio you'll program with Chirp. So we're doing a UV5R. Right now it's on the F8HP because that's the last one I programmed. We're going to switch it over to UV5R. All right, and you see this 5X, 5XP. Well, we're going to do the UV5R. So make sure you choose the correct radio model and then click OK. Now it's cloning. This means it's downloading from the radio to the app what channels are programmed. All right, here we go. So this is what comes default on the radio. Now, this obviously isn't very helpful. Now, what I have done with Ludus channels is I have pre-programmed a lot of stuff into it, which you can do some research, go online, find the FRS, GMRS frequencies, and just programs channels 1 through 22, whatever. I'll show you. The best thing about Chirp for the regular radio user is that you can actually save your comm matrix. So I'm going to bring up the comm matrix that Ludus uses, and you can just kind of, you see I have one saved here for the UV5R. I also have one saved for UV82. I have one saved for the F8H. And a good practice is if you are using this app a lot, is every time I program a new type of radio, I go ahead and save a different file for that radio. So I'm going to open up the UV5R, and here you go. So I have channels 1 through 22 programmed. If you go to open up a Midland radio and put it on channel 5, and you go to channel 5 on your Baofeng with this preset, you will be on the standard channel for channel 5. I've also taken channels 23 through 27 and created some custom channels for our team that have transmit codes put on them. And that's kind of a bit more advanced stuff, but you don't need to worry about that now. But basically, anything that is the DTCS code is the password to transmit, and the DTCS-RX code is the password to receive. You'll notice that from these channels 1 through 24, it's all 023, which is the standard transmit code. And on these 3 through 5, Ludus 3 through 5, I've done a custom transmit code so that no one can jump on the frequency. All right, so that's some pretty advanced stuff, but it's not just this area here. All right, you're also going to have a lot of settings that you can play around with. This is how I have ours set up. All right, one of the important things you'll want to change, you can compare it to what it's showing here. All right, is and this is the more complicated part of programming radios. You have to jump back and forth, all right, and compare to make sure it's still the same. Because while on this, I can take all of this and copy it to here. Hold on. All right, so the problem I was having there is I forgot to click on show empty. All right, you click on show empty and it's going to show all the possible channels you can program with your Baofeng, which I think it's more than 100. You have a lot of options here. So we're going to go back to this program, and since I've already saved this, you might have to handwrite it out one time, but once you do it once, it's all good. I'm going to copy and then paste, and it's going to overwrite all, yes. All right, and then it's going to put in all those. Now see that it will copy, but what it won't copy is the settings. So you have to go through and make sure one at a time that they match. Squelch level, battery saver, the basic settings you can play around with. But one of the things that I like to do, and you're going to want to try to do too, is that you're not going to want to use the frequency mode unless you're depending on frequency only. But for me, I'd rather know, and by name it means this right here. All right, it can display the frequency or it can display the name. And I've named these FRS1. You can change this to something else, but it's FRS1 so that I know whenever I'm looking at the radio, if someone says channel 1, I don't have to memorize the frequency. But this right now will show name on channel A and name on channel B, because you can have two presets on the radio at one time. So that's an important one. Over here, it's going to default your voice to Chinese, so I always change it over to English unless you happen to speak Chinese.
and once again, it's tricky going back and forth. So I have scan set to CO, and I have busy channel lockout, automatic key lock. The automatic key lock is great because you can lock the pad so it can't accidentally change the channel. After about 5-10 seconds, it'll automatically lock if you forget to lock it. All right. And then this one selected the broadcast on the FM radio. I usually disable that because it'll like play, like you can accidentally turn on like the radio, which isn't like music radio, which isn't helpful. All right, so anyway, you can play with all that, but how you once you've determined that your set is good, to write it back to the radio, I'm just going to go back to radio and select upload to radio. Same thing, it should already be set. You're going to click OK, and then it'll start cloning.